So the products we'll be using for this are Optimum No Rinse Wash and Wax, or Optimum No Rinse Wash and Shine, a spray bottle for the solution that we chose, a 5-gallon bucket with 2 gallons of water, and a few microfiber cloths. And this is just a quick look at the driver's side of the car to show it is actually dirty. I'm not just doing this to a freshly cleaned car or one that I cleaned in the last couple of days. This is about 2-3 weeks of road grime. We're going to start off with the rinseless wash. We will take 1 ounce, which is 2 capfuls of our Optimum No Rinse product, and mix that into 2 gallons of water. So first up is the rinseless car wash. And for this I chose to use Optimum No Rinse Wash and Shine, not the green bottle for wash and wax. It's a fairly simple and straightforward process. Dip your microfiber cloth into the bucket, wring it out gently so it still has a light drip to it, and wipe in one direction going from top to bottom. Place the cloth back in the bucket, grab your clean cloth, and do a first wipe over to remove the excess product, then flip the cloth over and buff it to dry. And you'll notice that I'm doing this outside in the sun. It is slightly overcast, but still very hot. The reason I'm doing this is just as a matter of principle, to show that you can do this whether it's inside of a garage, nice shady area, or if it's outside in the bright sun. That's one of the wonderful things about the Optimum set, is it makes it very simple to do this no matter where you are. And by the request of a viewer, we have my 1-year-old puppy, Izyan, out here with us, overseeing the project to make sure everything goes well. And here we just have a short close-up to show that it does actually remove the dirt and grime, and it leaves a nice, smooth finish without any streaks or spots. Next up is the waterless wash, once again using Optimum No Rinse Wash and Shine. This spray bottle is simply filled from the same bucket that we mixed the product in earlier. You just liberally spray the whole area with your spray bottle, then grab your clean microfiber cloth and begin wiping the product off, going from top to bottom. Flip your cloth over to a dry side, or use a new cloth, and wipe off the excess. Flip to another clean and or dry side, and begin buffing the product dry. If it does end up drying before you can buff it off, that's fine. Simply spray the area again and dry it off again, and you shouldn't have any spots or streaks when you're done. The reason I went with the wash and shine instead of the wash and wax is purely a personal preference. In sunlight and first cleaning, I prefer wash and shine as it tends to be a bit easier to work with. Wash and wax is better, in my opinion at least, after the car is cleaned and you're able to apply it in a cool or shady environment to give yourself a little more working time, as the wax part of it makes it require a bit more buffing. Now, as for the difference between rinseless and waterless, as most people like to use the two terms interchangeably, a rinseless wash is one that uses a product mixed into water, applied to the surface with a cloth or sponge, and then dried with a cloth, not requiring rinsing the car after you're done with this. A waterless wash is one that uses a product mixed together that is sprayed onto the surface, and then wiped and buffed off, which also dries it in the process. A rinseless wash will use anywhere from 2 to 5 or even more gallons of water to clean a car, while a waterless wash will use 10 to 30 ounces of product. It's a minor difference, but can be an important one depending on what you're doing, specifically in the mobile detailing scene. Switching over to head cam here for the waterless wash, just to show the process from a first-person view. It's fairly quick. Spray the product liberally over the surface, then work from top to bottom, wiping off the excess. Flip over to a dry side, go over to remove even more excess product, and flip to a dry side again to buff the surface and get it completely dry. All of this is done using little to no pressure, just gliding the cloth over the panels. So the idea here was to wash half of the car with a waterless method and wash the other half with a rinseless method, just to show the differences in the two and the amount of time each takes. You may also notice when I go to clean the roof in a moment that I'm not wearing a belt or have anything protruding from my pants. And this is actually extremely important, especially because I'm not all that tall. I do this to ensure that when I'm reaching over the car, I do happen to touch it or lean against it at all, that there's no chance of scratching the surface with anything that I'm wearing. And as you can see, the whole process here is fairly quick, and this can be done on exceptionally dirty cars as well. I'll do a video of it one day when someone gives me an extremely dirty car to demonstrate it with. So originally I'd planned to speed this part of the video up, but have opted not to do that as I want to demonstrate just how long this process realistically takes, which should only be around 20 minutes. We'll see how accurate this is once the video is finished and how long it took. If you guys think I should speed it up or prefer this method, please let me know in the comments below so I can make sure to put out content that my viewers prefer the most. And as usual, the products used in this video will be linked in the description below, as well as the Optimum No Rinse Wash and Wax, so that you guys have access to all of the same stuff that I do for this. Anything that you do purchase through these links does help and support the channel, so it's greatly appreciated. The only products not linked will be the 5-gallon bucket from Home Depot and the $2 spray bottle from Walmart's automotive department. And as always, if you do like the content that I'm putting out, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you stay up to date with new content as it comes out. Now that I've finished up this half of the car, I'll be switching over to going with the rinseless wash for the rest of the car, except for the front bumper where I alternate for it. This cloth is sufficiently dirty and gross, and it's time to grab a new one moving forward. So first up is the rinseless car wash, and for this I chose to use Optimum No Rinse Wash and Shine, not the green bottle for wash and wax. It's a fairly simple and straightforward process. Dip your microfiber cloth into the bucket, wring it out gently so it still has a light drip to it, and wipe in one direction going from top to bottom. Place the cloth back in the bucket, grab your clean cloth, and do a first wipe over to remove the excess product, then flip the cloth over and buff it to dry. For those of you who might be wondering, Vizion is a half Husky and half German Shepherd mix, and he's extremely skilled at getting directly under my feet, making me almost trip over him quite frequently. I had originally planned to film the whole side being cleaned at once, just in one clean shot. However, my neighbor came home and Vizion decided he had to go say hi, so I had to go grab him and get him back inside for a little bit so that way he wouldn't antagonize my poor neighbor. Now, one thing I've realized is that some of you may think that the Optimum products may not be as awesome as I make them out to be because my car is ceramic coated, which makes it easier to clean, of course. While it is true that the ceramic coating definitely helps, my whole car actually isn't coated yet. Most of the driver's side actually isn't, as I still have to do paint correction on it since it's pretty swirled still, and most of my rear bumper isn't. All of it from the spoiler down isn't coated. It took me a long time to start using Optimum's products, and it wasn't because I doubted their quality. It was because they tend to have a slightly higher price point, albeit only marginally, but after using them for the first time, I don't really want to use anything else. As you'll hear in the Optimum community, there are those who swear by Optimum products, and those who just haven't used them yet. With all that said, I will be using other products on this channel periodically, whether it be to test how they perform, or just general preferences. For example, I can't justify spending $60 or so on Opticoat, their ceramic coating, when I can get an almost identical product for a fifth of that price. One of the larger downsides of the Optimum products is actually their availability. I mean, when I started off, I wanted to get all of my products from, Walmart or a local auto parts store, and Optimum isn't in those places yet. You have to order it online, and for some that is cumbersome or even flat out annoying. So it, is one take away from it. And you'll notice that his yawn ran off again. He had to go investigate, see what was going on with my neighbor yet again. If you're wondering which method I prefer when it comes to washing the car, it really depends. Rinseless is great for a mildly dirty car, and waterless is more handy for something extra dirty, as you can let the product sit on the surface before wiping it off. If I were to have an exceptionally dirty car to clean, I would actually utilize both methods. I would start off with the waterless method as an initial pass to get the majority of the dirt and grime off, then do a second pass with the rinseless to finish it off. And the GoPro ended up overheating on me, a battle I've been fighting since I decided to use it as my recording medium. Fortunately, I found a couple of ways to get around this, and we'll be doing a video about that in the near future. So after a cooldown break for both me and my camera, we're back to finishing off the car. The sun is directly out and heating up the panels, which just reinforces my point earlier that you can do this even in sunlight on a hot day, which was around 100 degrees today. You'll notice that I do the hood in fourths, just 1/4 at a time. This is due to the heat and not wanting to have to go over the same spot again because the product dried. The cloth should have more than enough product in it that you can just flip it over to another side and tackle the next section as well. So it's looking like this video will come in at around 25 minutes, and this was with me going slower than normal, taking my time. It's completely feasible to say that you could wash your whole car using either of these methods in under 15 minutes. If you had two people, one to actually apply, one to wipe off, less than 10. Add on to that, when you're done, you have little to no cleanup. You just have a couple of cloths you have to wash off, let them dry out, but you don't have to clean up a hose, a bucket, anything like that. I mean, for the bucket here, you saw my lid on the ground earlier. I just keep it sealed up so that way no bugs get into it, and then it's good to go for the rest of the time until I use it the next time. I've been tossing around the idea of doing a small series on mobile detailing and what I would do if I had my own mobile business. Some of the key things it would focus on would be what products I'd use, some information on how I'd market the business to get clients and customers, some awesome ways to power my tools so I don't have to rely on someone else's power, things such as that. Tell me what you guys think of the idea in the comments below and if it's something you'd like to see. Onto the front bumper, I'll be alternating between waterless and rinseless for this. Waterless tends to take more passes to fully dry off, which actually is a bit more annoying for something like a front bumper. So my preference is actually the rinseless method, which we'll use on the next part. Alright, so I was mistaken. For the final part, I switch over to rinseless. That's fine. So as we come to the end here for this video, we see that it took me about 25 minutes in the direct sun to fully clean and wash my car without ever having to actually use a water hose. Waterless and rinseless car wash products definitely have their niche in the market, and I'm personally a fan of them. While the whole foam lance thing looks really nice and flashy, it actually isn't ever really needed and makes it difficult if you're actually going to detail the car, as you have to make sure it's fully dry before compounding. Now, all of this isn't to say that you can't pre-rinse a car before you go ahead and do this. You definitely can, and sometimes it might be best to do so if you have something that's, muddy, but it's never actually required. It's just something that can help from time to time. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and as always, if you like the content, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you stay up to date with new content as it comes out. Thanks for watching. Take care.